Hey y'all, this is Teddy Staples. Um, this video is about a couple articles I've been reading for about 2 or 3 years. Um, and it's about a juvenile um, prison facility in Irma, Wisconsin. It's called Lincoln Hills Boys School. And a lot of these articles are talking about how the guards were really abusive to the kids. Oh, I've tried to get in contact with the reporters that wrote the articles. I've tried to get in contact with the DOC in Madison. None of them have gotten back to me. And the reason I wanted to get in contact with them is because I was actually an inmate there from 2004 to about 2012. So it was a pretty long stretch that I was there. So in a lot of these cases, I was actually there for. And I can clear the air on a whole lot of them. Because a lot of these reports are saying that the guards were using like too much force or just beating kids. Pretty much the reports are saying that the guards were beating kids for no reason. And and in the articles they kind of portray the kids as these sweet little kids that are sitting there playing Pokemon and all that shit. No, these are not little kids that you typically see riding their bikes around town. No, these fuckers got put here for a reason. I mean, these are 15, 16, 17 year olds, and you got guys that are trying to be gangbangers, guys that went there for like armed robbery, fucking attempted homicide, all this shit. These are not your typical kids. All right, these articles are trying to portray these inmates. We'll fucking call them what they are. These inmates as poor defenseless victims, and it's bullshit. I was there for about 8 years. Was I treated unjustly at times? I thought so, but not really. And they take my privileges away and that kind of shit. And at the time, I thought it was unjustified, but they were doing their fucking job. Were the guards aggressive? If you got, 4 6 foot tall 15-year-olds fighting or beating guards or beating women guards, fucking, or riots, whatever the case may be, yeah, their adrenaline might have been going. All right, they had that fight or flight going on in their head, and they had to put the guy down. That's their job, just like a fucking cop. Okay, one of the articles were talking about this guy that I actually know. I knew him. He was in my unit. And he was resisting, trying to fight the guards. And when they put his head down to the ground, they ended up cracking a bunch of his teeth. Because he hit the metal part of the bunk. Did they do it on purpose? Maybe. I can't say. I'm not in their head. But they were doing their job. They wouldn't have been in the position to do that if he had listened to their instructions, put his hands behind his back, stopped fighting them. Simple as that. Another one was a inmate that got his shoulder dislocated, again, for trying to fight the guards. They were trying to do their job, and he was trying to prevent them from doing it. So, of course, he got injured. And a lot of these guys are years later. now trying to say, like, oh, I was abused there. This is what happened. I was there for 8 years. All right. When I first got there, I was a little asshole. They had probably every reason to beat the fuck out of me if they were that way. No, they never did. Did they use excessive force? Maybe, but if you're being a little asshole and you're trying to fight the guards, then that's on you. If you get injured, that's on you. You have no reason to be claiming to be the victim. To me, it seems like common sense. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. All right. If you're an inmate there, and you try to fight these guards that are trained to take you down with as little resistance as possible, with pressure points, everything else, they're trying to do it without giving you as much injury as they can. Accidents happen. All right? Shit happens. But for trying to claim a victim when you're the one acting out, acting like a dumbass, just baffles me. Like, that's like trying to fight a cop and getting tased and then trying to say, this cop tased me for no reason. No, the fucker probably had a reason. You probably gave him a good reason to. And I've heard of a lot of good guards that have lost their jobs because of it. They've quit, they've gotten fired, all of this. And I know, like, personally, yeah, there were some guards there that probably did enjoy those altercations more than they should. There were guards there that took it a little too far. I'm not saying that. There's bad apples in every group. But for the most part, I'd say about 90% of the time, it was the inmate was doing something stupid and the guards reacted. They put a stop to it. They did their job. And I think the reason why they have not gotten back in contact with me after I reached out to the editors that wrote the article, the DOC in Madison, like the head of juvenile corrections. I've reached out to them. None of them have gotten back to me because I'm going to be going against what these other inmates are saying, and it could be costing those inmates, like, because they're asking for a lot of money. It could cost them their case, and chances are they'll probably say that I'm being bribed to do this or say that. No. There were a lot of good guards there. They actually cared about the inmates. They wanted the inmates to better themselves. And they were doing this way back when I was even there, where they were doing something good. They had a boot camp there, and it was ran kind of like the military aspect. Yes sir, no sir. You had your PT, all that stuff. It was all about discipline. Like, it, incorporated a whole lot of like honesty, integrity, everything like that into these kids. And you could tell that they liked it. And one of the programs there was woodpile. You went out every day for like an hour, You know, you had your 2-man saws. Sometimes you'd be swinging a maul, and you'd be cutting wood for that whole hour. And it was with your whole squad. There was like 5, 6 of you out there. You weren't doing it continuously. You could take a break. Next person would, run the saw. Somebody else would hold the log. And these aren't big logs. We're not cutting trees down. We're cutting logs like that big around. It's no big deal. It's more like the discipline, teamwork, that stuff. The stuff that you could actually use when you got out to better yourself, get a job, that kind of stuff. And the DOC, or the head of DOC, came by and said that it was slave labor. Cut it. No, just right away. That program was probably one of the best programs there. A good 75% of inmates, when they got out, would be back or move on to adult. Most of them got locked up again and again and again. Kept coming back. About 75%. The amount of people that came back after that program was like half or less. Like, you hardly ever seen people that went through that program come back. And so it proved that it worked. But they didn't care. They seen it as slave labor, because we weren't getting paid for it. They ended up cutting a lot of the beneficial stuff out of that prison when I was there. They used to have welding. They had small engines, like college classes you could take. They cut all of them. So now all you have is like the anger management classes, which all those courses were good if the person wanted to actually go through it. You can't make somebody change if they don't want to. And a lot of those kids didn't want to. They liked being little assholes. They liked living that life that they knew how to, that they grew up with. Whatever the case may be. They like being little assholes, starting fights. All that, stealing shit. But they're talking about closing that facility down, opening a new facility, and like they're trying to get a whole lot more lenient on these kids. And that's not going to work. Just flat out, that will not work. They need discipline. They didn't have discipline growing up. That's why they're acting out now. You don't give them discipline now, all it's going to do is push them right to adult. They're not going to learn anything just sitting there. If you give them everything, guards can't touch them, whatever. They're fighting. They're not supposed to get taken down, whatever. You're not helping these kids. Alright? If a kid's fighting and he gets hurt by a guard, dislocates his shoulder, maybe he'll fucking learn. I mean, dislocated shoulders hurt. They'll hurt you for a long time afterwards. He'll want to fight and, that thing will tense up. Maybe he'll think, yeah, maybe I don't want to fight. The point I'm trying to make is, like, you're trying to baby these kids, and you're not doing them any favors by doing that. They need more discipline. If you're letting them get away with everything up over there, when they're in a prison, They did something to get there. They broke the law to get there. These are not normal little kids. Like I said, these are 15, 16, 18-year-old gangbangers, car thefts, whatever. They need discipline in order to change their lifestyle. And if you don't give it to them, they're not going to change. Then they're going to go to adult. And guess what? Adult's not going to be easy on them. They're going to say, oh, well, Lincoln Hills was so much easier. You know, you guys can't do this. And they're going to try to act like prison, adult prison, is supposed to be like Lincoln Hills. No. They will get disciplined there. And then they're not going to like it. So, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish by just tearing that whole facility down and moving it to another location. I think one of the reasons that they said was the majority of the inmates are coming from like Milwaukee, Madison area, South Wisconsin, where a lot of like the hardcore violence and everything is. And it's too far away for their families to come up and visit them. I've seen that in one of the articles. Well, no. When I was there were shuttles that drove from Madison and from Milwaukee up to that prison. They were free. Their family could get on that bus, come up and visit them. I think it was every other weekend. They didn't have to spend any gas. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to pay for the bus ticket. Well, people like me that were from northern Wisconsin, my family had just as long or longer to drive out there. There was nothing, no fit buses that would offer that to them. They actually had to pay for their own gas to get out there. So, you're trying to help a certain individual group of people so that their family can come up and visit them more, which they need. They do need the support of their family. But you're also alienating the rest of the state in order to accomplish that. I mean, we had a lot of guys that were from northern Wisconsin, where I was from. Some of them actually had family in Minnesota. They had longer drives if they wanted to come up and see them. We had people from pretty much every reservation, and none of these other places offered like the free bus shuttle. It was only Milwaukee and Madison. So, and realistically, that prison is set right in the middle of the state. So, it's pretty fair. I mean, if somebody's living on one side of the state, it's about 3 hours. If they're living on the opposite side of the state, it's about 3 hours. I mean, to me, it's pretty fair. But with, nobody getting in contact with me from the DOC, Madison, anything like that, I decided to make this video expressing my opinion on the matter. And I'm going to personally send this to some of the staff that I have on Facebook. I'm going to share it to Facebook. I've got people on my Facebook that were in there with me as inmates. I've got people that are on my Facebook at that were guards, or some of them that are still guards. So I'm asking all these people, if you agree with what I'm saying, I'm asking you to share this video, tag people in it. Try getting this circulated. Because I think it's bullshit. This whole case is bullshit. 1 out of 20 of these incidences that are getting pushed through and they're trying to get lawsuits for, probably 1 in 20 of them are justifiable. The other ones I count as being the inmate being stupid and not liking the consequences. So I'm asking everybody to share this. Maybe it can get circulated around enough for DOC to maybe look into it a little bit more. Contact me. I was there for 8 years. I was around for a lot of this stuff. I can clear the air on a lot of this. I was there for 8 years. Most of these guys were there for 6 months to maybe 2 years. If they're getting beat up for no reason, don't you think that I would have too? No. I mean, most of these, for the most of the time that I was in there, I kept to myself, did my shit, didn't give the guards too bad of a time. It's not that difficult. When I was first there, I was arguing with them, being a little asshole. And still, they never took it too far to the extreme. They weren't smashing my head into the wall for just talking back to them. You actually had to get physical with them or to impose violence on somebody else in order for them to get to the point where they were putting you to the ground. Or you had to resist. So, I'm just asking you guys to share this. Maybe it'll open their eyes. Maybe somebody will contact me. Maybe they'll investigate it more. Chances are they won't. But I've already tried emailing all the people that have written the reports on it, like the articles. I've tried getting in contact with DOC. Neither of them have gotten back to me. Maybe with this video they will. A lot of those guards there are actually really good people. They're there to help these inmates. A lot of them will help them after they get out. A lot of them will go above and beyond their job. There are the few, the minority of them that don't give a shit. They're there for a paycheck and that's it. But the majority of them were actually going above and beyond what they needed to do. And for them to get punished for doing their job and for trying to care and look out for these kids, it's bullshit. Especially over these bullshit allegations. So, but I can't do it alone. I need help. I need this video to get viral. I need it to get out. So I'm asking for help with that. And if you guys can, great, thanks. If you don't agree with it, shoot me a message. Tell me your experience, your personal experience. What happened to you there that makes you feel justified in all these legal allegations? Maybe I'll change my mind. I probably won't, but I'll consider it. So, I want to thank you guys in advance for watching this, and I'll keep you posted if anything comes up. If, they get in contact with me, or want to speak with me, get my take on this, I'll keep you guys posted. I'll make another video if anything happens, and hopefully we can get it straightened out. But I want to thank you guys for your time and sitting back and listening to me ramble on. Um, but oh, I spent most of my time there. Like, I started out as 14-year-old, and I left as a 22-year-old. I mean, that was pretty much my home. All right. So I kind of care about the place. So I don't want those people that taught me how to be a man to get punished for doing their job. So hopefully something happens. But thank you guys.